Hello guys, in today's episode, don't bother sending a tech, I'll be dead by then. So my story starts on what was a normal day taking calls on the front line for a large cable company. The job pays well and for the most part the people I deal with are fairly nice to talk to. Quite often we'll get calls from seniors, especially in the morning, who have premise equipment issues such as snow on screen or no signal on their TV sets connected to our digital equipment. Now my heart does go out to some of these folk because up until recently, past few years, we would supply straight analog cable to many homes, coax direct from wall to TV with scrolling guide. However, most cities we service nowadays require our digital equipment to receive channels. And this has caused a lot of frustration with older people who don't know how to operate said equipment, always having your TV set on video or HDMI to get picture. So oftentimes we get customers who are repeat offenders with long ticket histories of these types of issues. So anyway, I get a call from an older gentleman who's quite bitter and mean right off the bat, doesn't like that I asked for his address, telephone number to verify the account, hates that he has to speak with a machine before reaching an agent, etc. I have some experience handling these types of customers. However, this call was going to be a little different. I spent over 45 minutes with this guy, we'll call him Mr. Smith, trying to get his TV set connected to the digital box properly so he could receive a picture. No luck. He was getting clearly frustrated by the whole ordeal and started blaming me for not being able to do my job properly, how I was useless, etc. Like I said, I've dealt with this before, so I tried my best not to take it personally, but eventually I had to ask him if we could book a service tech to the home, a courtesy call, to get his TV working correctly. Unfortunately, our booking calendar was showing an appointment 3 days out. That's when he dropped this on me: don't bother sending a goddamn technician, because I'll be dead by then. I'm 94 and TV is the only thing I have left. Are you really going to make me wait for a tech? I instantly felt bad. I mean, I've heard every complaint in the book as to why people don't want to wait for a tech, but this one kind of got to me. I'm in my mid-20s, so honestly I can't even imagine how it must feel to utter those words. So I spoke with my supervisor, who said they'd see if we could get someone out earlier ... but we couldn't promise anything. So I let Mr. Smith know, and he was predictably not very happy with my answer. At that point it almost sounded like he started to cry and went into how he has no family left, and no friends that come visit. This was after I asked if there was anyone in his building that might be able to help. Man, I felt terrible, so I took it upon myself to ask Mr. Smith if I could pay a visit. He lived in a small city over from where I was, not very far to drive. He was a little shocked I was willing to do this, but sounded thankful I was willing to come out and help him personally. So I head over, get to the residence and meet him. Within 30 seconds I had the cable running again, simple input change, and even brought him a simplified remote for his set-top box to avoid this problem in the future. That's when he started crying. He goes into how he hasn't actually spoken or really interacted with anyone for years. He gave me a hug and told me how thankful he was that I came out and helped him, and told me how sorry he was for being so mean earlier on. I said it was no problem and I was happy to help. And that was it. I left. 3 weeks later, my supervisor comes to my desk and asks me if I could come speak with her for a bit about an account for Mr. Smith. Turns out, he sent the cable company a letter outlining how thankful he was for helping him with his issue and how it really made an old man happy again for once in a very long time. The letter was framed and put on our front entrance to retail. I guess the moral of this story is no matter how nasty someone is to you over the phone, sometimes they're not always a terrible person and just going through a lot. I still think about Mr. Smith occasionally when I get those nasty customers and it makes me feel a little better. Anyway, thanks for reading. Just thought I'd share how this one call changed my outlook on life. Smile. The poo butter story. I have a little brother that farted bare-assed into my face 8 years ago. His asshole puckered and I felt the bubbles of stench roll around my nose and fumigate my sinuses. It was the worst way I've ever woken up. Since that day, I vowed to return the shame. I recently was on Reddit looking at the worst prank ever, where you melt butter, poop in a butter tub, pour the melted butter on top, let it coagulate, and then it looks like butter and hides your poop. I did that. It took about 2 weeks for anyone to find out about it. We were sitting at dinner and it started to smell a little. The butter had been left out for a few hours and had started to get soft, which for whatever reason was allowing the smell of the poop to be revealed. I tried to put it back in the fridge in my embarrassment because I realized how fucked up a prank it was, and how my family was all eating the butter, not just my brother. I am not a smart man. My mother is the one that found the poop. She took a large knife full out of the tub and the tip of the knife was brown. Breaking the airtight butter seal of the 2-week-old poop allowed for the most horrid stench I could have imagined. The poop had been decomposing for a bit. Nobody knew I did it, because it literally makes no sense. My mother tried to sue the "I can't believe it's not butter" folks until I had to admit I pooped in the butter. I looked around the table after it was said. My father stared blankly into the kitchen. My mother stared at me, a scowl on her face, quickly dropping the knife. My brother exclaimed, "What the fuck?" and quickly left the table. Nobody yelled at me. Nobody even looked at me. They just slowly went outside, the three of them, and got ice cream. When they were gone, I quickly cleaned up the mess, the table, washed the dishes, and went back into my room. Now my family won't speak to me. Hate begets hate. Don't join the dark side. TL Doctor, I got my brother back for a prank he did 8 years ago to me. This guy from the nicest thing you've done thread. His account is deleted so I can't give him proper credit. Thanks for the great story, man. I was day tripping to Vancouver from Seattle and stopped in for lunch at a little cafe. From my window I saw a young teenage girl out in the cold, squatted down in a closed-up business's doorway, holding a small bundle in her arms. She was panhandling. People were mostly walking by, ignoring her. She looked just broken. I finished up my meal and went outside, went through my wallet and thought I'd give her $5 for some food. I got up to her and she was sobbing. She looked like she was 14, 15, and that bundle in her arms was a baby wrapped up. I felt like I just got punched in the chest. She looked up, putting on a game face, and asked for any change. I asked her if she's like summer lunch. Right next door was a small quick trip type grocery store. I got a can of formula for the baby, very young, maybe 2-3 months old, and took her back to the cafe though I'd just eaten. She was very thankful, got a burger and just inhaled it, got her some pie and ice cream. She opened up and we talked. She was 15, got pregnant, parents were angry and she was fighting with them. She ran away. She's been gone almost 1 full year. I asked her if she's like to go home and she got silent. I coaxed her. She said her parents wouldn't want her back. I coaxed further. She admitted she stole $5K in cash from her dad. Turns out $5K doesn't last long at all and the streets are tough on a 15-year-old. Very tough. She did want to go back, but she was afraid no one wanted her back after what she did. We talked more. I wanted her to use my phone to call home but she wouldn't. I told her I'd call and see if her folks wanted to talk to her. She hesitated and gave bad excuses but eventually agreed. She dialed the number and I took the phone. Her mum picked up and I said hello. Awkwardly introduced myself and said her daughter would like to speak to her. Silence, and I heard crying. Gave the phone to the girl and she was just quiet listening to her mom cry, and then said hello. And she cried. They talked. She gave the phone back to me. I talked to her mom some more. I drove her down to the bus station and bought her a bus ticket home. Gave her $100 cash for incidentals, and some formula, diapers, wipes, snacks for the road. Got to the bus. and she just cried saying thank you over and over. I gave her a kiss on the forehead and a hug, kissed her baby, and she got on the bus. I get a Christmas card every year from her. She's 21 now and in college. Her name is Michaela and her baby was Joe. I've never really told anyone about this. I just feel good knowing I did something good in this world. Maybe it'll make up for the things I've effed up. Edit. I believe this was by the user /u/wartoad.